systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday with my man Gyiraszin, talking some baseball. 8 games on tap, Gyiraszin. I don't know if DraftKings and FanDuel just didn't want us to work overtime or what, because 6 games they have at 6:40 Eastern easily could have made this a 6:40 lock time. Would have been a monster slate. Now, I know some people don't like 14 games. They prefer 8, so some people are happy. Some people probably a little upset. Can always play the turbo slate as well. Probably can hear in my voice. Was a bender this weekend. I'm going to need you to carry the load most of the week in Gyiraszin. How you doing today on this fine Tuesday?
You're going to have to man it up, Title. You're a youngster, man. You got no excuses. I can almost guarantee I partying harder than you out in my RV all weekend. My damn arm hurts so bad from smoking everybody in cornhole, drinking this hand, throwing the bags in the hole with this hand, Title. You've seen it. You know.
I have.
Throw them bags.
He can play. Gyiraszin can play. Confirm.
Yeah, they came over. A couple guys came over like, hey, we're playing for $1 a game. I said, I'm going to look like I just left a strip joint as when I was working stripping. You guys want to give me $1 every game. But a lot of fun. Loving the baseball here. Today, man, 8 games. Looks like we had one that we might lose, but looks like it's been upgraded a little bit here. But, man, Title, what a shit-ass pitching slate, man. There's 1 or 2 guys that are really even viable. We've talked about before, where you can, it didn't seem like, the masses were going to be led to a certain path. And, man, today's one of them days, man. I think Kikuchi is going to be freaking chalk. Schmidt's going to be chalk. It's just going to be one of them days here today. So maybe we can come up with a different plan here. But, man, that Crochet guy, man, he kind of scares me a little bit. Got a shitty matchup. We got a big win game in Wrigley. Man, we got all kinds of stuff going on. But, man, I got to give a shout-out to our golf side, though, man. We're kicking some serious ass here at SHIPIT Nation with the golf, man. It's just a lot of fun to see everybody, after these majors, all these screenshots rolling in. We see them all the time. So, man, it's just great to see. But, man, I know I did okay on my golf. Not as well as some others. I don't normally mix it up as much in golf as I do baseball, but still a good fun sweat. But man, a lot of good shit going on here at SHIPIT Nation here recently, especially with that Shiptimizer, man. I can't wait until that thing's just honed in. It looks awesome, easy to use. But yeah, Title, what a great time to be here at SHIPIT. And just think about it. We got what? Maybe 3 more months, and we got football coming too. It's like, shit, crazy. It's already around the corner. I'm surprised your ass hasn't done best balls already.
I have not gotten yet because we talked a little bit about it. So the past 4 years, Gyiraszin, I was drafting every month of the year, maybe outside of 1 or 2. Slow drafts, 100 plus going on every time. You just have no life when you wake up. Oh, and then it gets later in the year when the 8-hour clock's turning into 6 hours or something. You have to set alarms throughout the night to then do your slow drafts. Thankfully, I have had success in the best ball streets. There's no chance, very, very small chance I have more success there. Time is money. Work is money. Got a wife, got a wedding coming up, got nice weather. Life has been very busy recently. Had to take some of that time. Still grinding MLB on the daily, NBA on the daily, MMA, golf. Not DFS going on right now. I can take a little backseat to best ball for now. I'll be in there hardcore. Absolutely will max drafters. Another awesome contest they put out this year. How many underdog, how many DraftKings drafts I get to. That'll be up for how much time I have, which probably isn't going to be much in the summer. But hey, we'll have best ball content starting in June. Our rankings will be up in June. Big Marley and I will do a show once a week. You mentioned the Shiptimizer. I'll show off the little Shiptimizer here in a sec after I say hi to people. Very excited. Some people, if you are a member, you should know right now. If you're a member, you get MLB. If you're a monthly, 6-month, or annual member, MLB and PGA, you get to mess with the Shiptimizer for free. It's not charged right now. We want to get things dialed in. MMA is going to be coming out. NASCAR is coming out in the Shiptimizer part in Discord. People have had improvements, recommendations We're writing those down, just trying to make it as good as possible before we do charge for it. And when we do, it'll be way cheaper than everybody else in the industry. So even if you do have another optimizer right now, we're not saying cancel it. If you want to use it, you like it, do it. But it doesn't hurt to try and mess with the SHIPITizer, because if you do fall in love with it, it'll be way cheaper than whatever you're paying for now. And then you're already used to it when it comes. So I'll show that off in a little bit. Gator Nation, Ben, Richie Smalls, Langs, Go Collect, Illini Fan, Gator Nation, Sean Sullivan, Aubrey, MP, Jake, Sean, already said Sean, Jason Turner, what is going on? Appreciate all you guys hanging out. Jason right here. Is there a tutorial on how to use the SHIPITizer? Not yet, but let's do this a little bit right now. Let's do a live. Oh, hold on. I'm going to host this. We're going to pull.
Man, you ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, we're going to pull up this SHIPITizer right here. Hold on. I'm off. I got to figure out how to.
We got to call IT, though, first.
Hold on. There we go. So right here, SHIPITizer, MLB. Again, PGA going on. NBA is just for the classic, so you can't use it for Showdown, not yet, when it comes for the 2-game. MLB are what people are focused on. Right here, main slate. If you want to do the turbo slate, the night slate, you change it to that. We're talking main slate. Let's go main slate. Our projections automatically loaded in here, as you can see. Can sort it by projections. Can sort by salary. If you just want to see shortstops, our top projected shortstop. Most people will probably use an optimizer. If you have it, though, come in here. Mess with it. I'll just go very quickly. Again, positions down here. You want to hide people with 0 projected points, of course. Going right here. Build settings. This is where, if you want to make sure, in sport like MMA, when it's going to come out, in a sport like golf, if you want to make sure you have at least 2 players under 5% owned, 2.5, whatever it may be, 1 player under 25. I mean, most players are under 25 in baseball, so you don't need to do it this much. But like the 5%, the 2.5%, if you're trying to make sure at least one of your people are very low owned, can mess with this. Can go down. If you don't want to like spend $50K, if you don't want any lineups that are greater than, or that are less than 48.5, you can mess with these down here. Your salary, total ownership. If you know that, all right, 203 looks to be the number I want. You're already running builds. We'll get there in a sec. You see total ownership and you do not want any teams over that. You can set a max total ownership, a min total ownership, min unique players. This means if you build 20 teams and you're at 1, it'll just make sure you have a 1v1 at worst of all your lineups. If this says 3 right here, this means that of every lineup you build, you will at least have 3 different players in them. So that just diversifies your portfolio more. That's with that down there. Randomness, projection points. So if you just want the straight optimal right here, go to none. This will not randomize the projection at all. Medium, high, very high means if it's a 10 projection, you could have in one simulation in one run, it's a 4. And one of them, it's 24 because he double donged or whatever it may be. So this is randomization right here. I think medium is pretty solid. Projection ownership, same thing. If you want very high randomness, which means the ownership projection is pretty much irrelevant at that point. None means it'll be what we have them projected at. Team stacks, right here. I plugged this in earlier. If you want, you want at least 50% 5-2s, or you want, let's see, I want 50% there. I want 30% 5-3s, and let's go 20% is fine for 5-1-1-1s. That's how you do that. It'll go teams. Just say if you wanted to build it in groups, like, I want at least 3 Braves today, or whatever it may be. You can go to the Braves. You can say 3 min hitters. This is min. This is max. If you don't want more than 2 A's today, which I definitely don't want, there you go. You can put 2 right there. So there's a lot of flexibility here. Primary stack, which is like the 5-man. Secondary stack has less amount of players. Hitters against pitchers. There's so much flexibility to go in here. The next one, player groups. This, if you're an MLB player group guy, I'm not as much so. We talk about it on some NBAs. Would you group away, make like a 2 or 3 max? MMA, obviously, you don't want to stack fighters. Just say baseball, though. If you want to, let's see, the most popular right here, projected ownership today. Let's go projected ownership. Let's go pitcher. Kikuchi, Charlie Morton, or Kikuchi and Clark Schmidt will be the 2 highest. We have Charlie Morton 3, which I'm not quite sold on. Oh, don't have him 3. Christian Javier 3. I do think these are the top 3 pitchers. If you want to say I at least want one of these 3, you can say at least 1. If you want no more than 2 or that wouldn't really do anything. Just say you want no more of one of the chalkiest ones. max one of these three. You will not have a lineup with any two of these together. Again, you can sort it if you want first base rules, shortstop rules, whatever it may be. Then you go, just say we want to see 30 lineups right now. We didn't make too many rules. We did a max one pitcher, these build settings. Let's go. We want 2 players under 5%. These team stacks. Let's see what 30 bills gets us right here. Again, just mess around with it. And you download your entries. If you like your 30 teams, you can download it. Then you upload it to DraftKings that way. I want to show one more thing off once these lineups are done. Pretty cool feature that we have. The overweight, underweight, showing the leverage off is something that I always like to be. Where are you at compared to the field? Give it a little time. Give it a little time.
That's right, Travis. We ain't playing old dusty-ass Charlie in a win game. You got that right.
Yeah, no, I'm not playing. We are not playing. I do
if
think
everybody else wants to, God bless them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're welcome. Whoever said that. Jason Turner, you're welcome for a short tutorial. So right here, 30 teams, as you can see, are overweight, underweight stances. So I said like at least 60% Matt Olson, and then I went to the Braves, which we said here. Again, this is why the Braves are so highly owned in this overweight thing. I said, give me at least 3 Braves in every lineup, max one of those 3 pitchers, and then I said at least 20% 5-1-1s, 50% 5-2s, 30% 5-3s. So you can see right here, every single team we made has at least a 5-man stack because that's what we asked for. 5-2s, 5-3s. Again, we're one of the things on our list, we're trying to make it easier to see the stack, like where it's 5-2, where it's 5-3. You can still see it clearly on the right side here on the points, projected points. It's sorted by here. If you want to sort by projected ownership, this is kind of what I'm saying. Just say like, I don't want anything above 115. I think these might be a little too chalky. There's still teams I like down below projected ownership. You can make that threshold at projected ownership so you won't get anything there. But these are the 30 teams. Again, you won't see any Clark Schmidt. It was Clark Schmidt, Kikuchi, and Javier. You see, because we made a rule max 1, you weren't getting any of that. So again, when you just download your teams, and you can upload it right there to DraftKings. Exposures. This is our most overweight to what we have them projected at. Of course, because I made a rule to have at least 3 Braves, you see all the overweight tags. Clark Schmidt, you see we have a 14%. So right here, oh, I did make a min 50% there. Where's Crochet? Or where's Clark Schmidt? So I put him at max 30 just earlier so you guys could see. We have him projected at 37%. We got him at 23%, which is negative 14 leverage. I like these blue columns, the red columns on the side. Makes it very easy to see who are you overweight on, who are you underweight on, etc. So wanted to give a quick rundown for that. Again, this is free right now. Came out a couple weeks ago. Still trying to make improvements on it. When it is paid, it'll still be by far the cheapest in the industry. Start messing with it. Again, even if you have another optimizer, you can get your process down on this. You will spend a lot less than you will at other places. Last thing I wanted to mention. Many people probably know the stone from golf. We have incorporated into other sports, a one-stop shop to look at everything you need. Right here, when lineups get confirmed, you see confirmed instead of projected. WOBAs, ISOs. This is home road splits against lefties or righties. So you see Hauser's a righty. This is the Mets on the road against righties. You can see green is good, red is bad. One-stop shop. You want to go, you see K-props. You can go all the way down. You see the pitchers, the ERA, the barrel rate, the projection, the ownership. You want to see K-props. Someone just found this out in the Discord, and I wanted to shout this out. Very easy. Slate info. This is free for everyone. Run totals. You can see from top to bottom on the right side. K-props for every pitcher on the slate. 6.5 minus 125 is the money line. Game totals, this, etc. Very easy to find all that info. Again, mention the stone. Just for MMA, this was last week. If you only have 5 minutes to build a team and you don't have time to read all the slate plan, all Marley's fight rankings, you get all of our tags right here. You get the ownership, the projections, Marley's fight rankings, how he puts the stars right there, weigh-ins, the height, the reach, just everything you need to consume data so fast. If you don't have time to build and you just want to play a couple bucks, throw something in for a sweat, you still have what we believe to be an edge, a one-stop shop to build lineups without having to spend 15, 20 minutes to read the slate plan. NASCAR, same thing. Don't know much about NASCAR myself. You check it out. Dominator, who's going to lead the race the most? Cash options, GPP options, recent form, practice time. So everything, the stone we are adopting Best DFS one-stop shop in the industry. All the info you need on one page. We have it for PGA, MLB, will be for NBA next year. NFL's going on, or when NFL's on, you'll see that. You'll see an NFL Shiptimizer, projections, ownership will be loaded there. So excited for this. Wanted to do a little rundown on the Shiptimizer because we haven't done it too much yet. There will be tutorials in the future. Want everything locked in, improvements to be made. You guys have recommendations. Shiptimizer portion in Discord. Definitely check that out. Gyiraszin, how's enough talking for me? Anything you got to say to that? Any final or first thoughts on the slate? I'll read this chat a little bit, and then we'll talk some pitchers. 8 games on the slate, but anything to add right there? Actually, last thing to mention. If you're not a member, very easy. Go to Ship Nation right here. Ship Nation right there. Join the nation. Weekly option. $24 a week. No Discord. Huge piece. No Discord. I wanted to shout out Jay Foxy yesterday, I believe is the name. Always lurking around in Discord. I see Jay Foxy say earlier in the day, Angels crush lefties. Man, a lot of members played a lot of Angels because of him. Angels absolutely nuked yesterday. That's a member in the Discord who's been around for a while. Plenty of members are like this as well. Very thoughtful, very smart, dropping their own stuff in there. Other members have benefited from that. Rio's always in the NBA Discord. We're not having NBA shows. Still 100K up top today, 30,000 people. Get in the Discord. Check out a showdown report. Weekly gets you all the content, no Discord. You see, there is no 15% off right now. We told you it was the last chance. Still can't find a better price in the industry. $69 a month. 6 month comes out to $64 a month. Our annual comes out to $58 a month. All 3 of them do include Discord, do include the Shiptimizer, which is free right now. Anything you saw from people in chat asking questions, Gyiraszin, anything you want to mention? Any first thoughts on this slate before we go pitching?
Yeah, like my man Go Collect says, you said, man, you're going to have to carry me through the show. I'm hungover, man. I got my ass kicked this weekend. You haven't shut the hell up since we started. I've been over here playing with my nutsack, waiting for you to get done. But, hey, got exciting little baseball slate here. But, man, it is good for the Shiptimizer, for us to see. I see, some of that we forgot a guy here and there. Well, that's why it's free until we get it situated. It's still work in progress. We want you guys to fool with it, so we can get it beat up and, get all the kinks out and everything else. So make sure you guys get over there, check it out. But yeah, man, it's always good. Title, we've been doing this a long time. I know you've been fooling with a lot of different optimizers over your day. I've done the same. I subscribe to a few, but it's just cool just to see how they all work differently. They all give you different information. So yeah, definitely something you need, especially in baseball. I think you need an optimizer more in baseball. Baseball and basketball for me are the ones you really need optimizers, I feel. Football, you can hand build a little bit easier and stuff like that. But, man, I baseball, it's just so good, especially to find them one-offs, cheaper bats, stuff like that. So definitely like to fool around with that. But, Tuttle, we've been on the air now for 19 minutes, and we haven't said shit about this slate here. So we don't want to lose all our great subscribers. Hey, if you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, you know the drill. I'm a goofball. He's a smart guy. And we're going to have some fun, but
we're going pitching right now. Want to do that from now on. It's going to be all baseball, pitching, game by game. We'll get you out of here in about an hour. So 40 minutes, it'll be normal. I think that helped a lot of people. The Shiptimizer, it's new. Haven't done a tutorial. I think that did help a lot of people. You won't find free optimizers out there. Give it a try. Mess around with it. Let's talk pitching. Before we do that, it's always weather. Rough has Atlanta, Chicago at yellow and winds blowing out at 25 miles an hour. Very important. Detroit, KC, winds blowing out 10 to 15 miles an hour. No weather concerns of postpone or cancellations. And then Baltimore, St. Louis, he upgraded it. It's now yellow-orange. Earlier in the day, it was more of a concern. He lowered the risk, 90 degrees still, and winds blowing out 15 to 20. So reading that weather report, I'm assuming all games play, and we have some good hitting weather with winds blowing out. Now, I just used my whole voice, completely cooked in those first 20 minutes, Gyiraszin. So you're taking over pitching. You lead the way. We're going 8K all the way up to 9.5K Crochet, all the way down to 8.1K in Charlie Morton. You mentioned it. Kikuchi and Clark Schmidt, I believe, will be the chalky pairing. After that, it gets spread out a little bit. Javier might get some. Crochet might get some. Bradish might get some. Then cheap options. We'll touch on them in a little bit. I think it'll be two main cheap options. Aaron Brooks, Cal Quantrill in the same game because Colorado and Oakland stinks. It's 8.1K and above. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, pitching's going to be pretty tough here, as we were saying at the beginning part of the show here. But, man, Crotch is just a guy. I mean, he started out great. First few starts, looked like a superstar. And then wheels kind of fell off a little bit. But this matchup he's got today with Toronto, even though he's going to have all shitload of righties, they just don't strike out much. So, I mean, this guy's obviously got the highest K rate, 33.7% of all the pitchers on the slate. I'm just not a fan of going against Toronto here. I mean, and we know he's on the White Sox, so his win equity might as well go out the damn window because he's terrible. But, yeah, I was just looking too. I thought he's been around the 90 pitch range, so not really concerned too much there. I do know he had a few starts, which the reason I looked that were below 80, which was definitely concerning. But, yeah, I mean, there's just no strikeouts here. So Crotchet, I mean, he's definitely a good pivot. Now, let's remind ourselves every time we're talking through this, pitching sucks today. So we're going to have to probably make some uncomfortable decisions here today. Now, going down to Kikuchi, I mean, this is the obvious play. I mean, Kikuchi on a normal slate, most guys won't even want to play because he doesn't have but a 19% K rate. But, man, we get the White Sox. The White Sox absolutely blow. Dijon can't – it's either home run or strikeout for him. You know, Eloy stinks. You know, Pham is, you know, added to the lineup there. There's some more Ks there. But Kikuchi is definitely in the best position. Now, talk about win equity. Definitely like the win equity there with Toronto, especially with him being such a big favorite, minus 188. So definitely think Kikuchi, for me, is the obvious play here that I'd look at. Bradish, I think, is interesting. As we mentioned, a little bit of weather concern there, but it looks like it's going to be toward the later part of the game. But Bradish has looked good in his first three starts. Definitely like, you know, chasing after, well, actually Bradish struggled a little bit his last start. Only gave up 2 earned runs. He's only given up, 3 earned runs, I think, 4 earned runs in his first 3 starts. So the leash there, though, is definitely something that I'd be concerned about. He's been in the mid 80s here recently, but I think Bradish for me is probably going to be a scratch off. Now, Javier's been absolutely terrible. Last start, he did okay, 6 innings, ended up with 8 Ks, got him a W there against Oakland. So how much do we really want to put in to that? But Javier's been struggling a little bit to start before he got absolutely smashed. But are we really afraid of this Angel lineup without Mike Trout? So no, as I mentioned, pitching sucks today. So Javier is definitely a good pivot off of Kikuchi. Wu, I'm not going there. Wu, he is a good pitcher, but I just think here with the Yankees, just a little bit too much there. Bad park over there in New York. Now, as far as Schmidt goes, sitting there on DK 8,400, I think this is another guy you're going to have to look at. Seattle, obviously, one of the best teams to chase for strikeouts. So Clark Schmidt, for me, is probably my favorite pitcher on the slate, especially at 8,400 over there on DK. I do think he's going to be very, very chalky. But, I mean, I like the win equity there. Schmidt has been looking really good. I want to say almost all of his 9 starts, so 7 out of 9 starts, I think he's had 6 or more Ks. So he's definitely been looking good there. Pitch count's good. I mean, we're looking at a decent chance of getting you a quality start over there on FanDuel as well. So definitely like some Clark Schmidt. Charlie Morton, no thanks. I ain't playing his old dusty ass in a win game, especially at 10.5. Definitely not going there. But title, top half of this pitching, I mean, it just looks pretty obvious to me. It's either Schmidt and Kikuchi, and if you want to go any pivots, you can go Crochet, and you could probably go Javier. Other than that, I'd probably leave everybody else alone over up there at that high.
Yeah, it's a tough pitching slate in the terms of I think the clear chalk is rightful chalk because there just isn't too many pivots. Crochet would by far be my favorite pivot. But man, like there's not many strikeouts for Toronto against left-handed pitching. They're just not very good. 9.5K and Crochet has a big arm, 6 Ks, 11, 6, 7, 30+% K rates. I think he's the obvious pivot, but again, the obvious pivot, people will make that pivot too. I still like him there. Kikuchi and Schmidt I like. If I had to pick another one, I think it would be Bradish over Javier, but it's warm in St. Louis. Like Bradish has been solid. Javier's been bad this year. Outside the last start, Angels definitely put it on what's his nuts yesterday, the lefty. Now Angels are worse against righties. Still, I think Bradish, 9 Ks 2 starts ago, is 3 starts back. after injury. I don't love Bradish. I'm just trying to make a case for someone not named Quantrill, Brooks, Kikuchi, Clark Schmidt, and Crochet. So I guess those 5. I think it would be Bradish. And again, that's assuming weather's fine, but it's 88 degrees and wind's blowing out. So I don't even like Bradish much. I don't like Javier. I don't like Wu. I don't like Charlie Morton. I'm just going to keep going down below. Gavin Stone? Maybe Gavin Stone's the pivot below AK. I don't know. I mean, he's going to be probably 5% owned, 10% owned, decent chance at the win equity or decent chance at the win. Give me 15 on this slate. I'd be good with it. I'm not playing Assad. Alec Marsh, I guess, somewhat interesting. I don't like Lance Lynn against Baltimore. I don't like Fod against the Yankees. Casey Mize does not sound fun with winds blowing out there either. Aaron Brooks, Quantrill, and then there's Canning, who I don't want Canning against Houston. Talk to me, Gyiraszin. Like, I like Quantrill. I like Brooks. I like picking on Oakland. I like picking on Colorado. Between those two, it's pretty tough for me. But I just cannot find other pivots I really like it in the whole pitching slate. Who are some other people asking? No Brooks love? I like Brooks. I do like Brooks. No one else said anything in pitching they wanted us to talk about. I don't know, Gyiraszin. I'm kind of stumped in terms of pivots. I think Crochet is probably my favorite on the slate, and that's because he has a monster arm that has upside. Like Bradish, I think would be fine, but I don't like playing pitchers 88 degrees, winds blowing out a little bit on the road, winds blowing out for Marsh, winds blowing out for Mize. I'm not playing Fod against the Dodgers. I guess Lance Lynn might be fine, but again, good weather game. Baltimore's not a lineup I want to pick on. I guess maybe Gavin Stone at very low ownership. When you're talking, I'm just going to look at our pitcher rankings. I'm going to show the people the top half or so what our pitcher rankings have to say today.
Yeah, I mean, these guys on the bottom, I mean, Brooks, first start in MLB since what, 2018 or 19 or something like that. Korea, out there in Korea, didn't even have too much of a high K rate in Korea. He
started last 6 days ago. He's pitched solid, 7 innings, 5 Ks. He never has a strikeout upside, but it was nice to see 7 innings.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, he did get he did have Houston, so not too bad there. But, I mean, 6,400, definitely a pivot. Like we said, pitching kind of sucks today. Colorado is, obviously a team that we like to chase against. Lance Lynn, I mean, if you wanted to drink yourself to death tonight, you could play Lance Lynn if you wanted to go there. I mean, on FanDuel, he's cheap as shit, 6,800. I mean, we obviously know he has a little bit of upside. I don't know if I could go there. Quantrill against Oakland, I think that's interesting. They got the middle of that lineup does have some strikeouts. Rooker, 32%. Langlear's 20, almost 28. Soderson, 32. Geloff and Brown are around 27% strikeout rate against righties, but Quantrill's strikeout rate against righties are super low itself. So, it's just one of them matchups. If you can get 5-6 Ks out of them, you'd be happy. As you mentioned, you can get 15 out of a SP2 today, especially on DK. I think you should be really happy. I can't play Casey Mize. Mize is absolutely terrible.
We want to spend. Sorry to interrupt. We want to spend up on bats today. There's plenty of good offenses that you do want some bigger bats. So I do think at least one. It's going to be, our pitcher rankings say too, Kikuchi, Clark Schmidt, and I do think the 2 cheapies are going to be the 4 most popular plays on the slate. And you can figure out bats with it. Like anyone outside of really those 4, maybe some Crochet, is going to be contrarian.
Yeah, I think a pairing like Schmidt and Quantrill will be really popular on DK because you're going to have you got an SP2 that's sitting at 6K. And then you got Schmidt sitting up at 8,400. So I think those two will be popular. Like you mentioned, I think Stone is definitely a decent pivot. But, pitching sucks today. I can't play Griffin Canning against Houston. I'm not doing that. Paft, whatever how his name is, Pift. I'm not playing him. Assad, that's really tough in a win game. If this wasn't, a tough win game as it is, against Atlanta, this guy here sitting there with a low ass ERA, you think about looking at that, but it's just nothing else really looks good in that matchup. So can't really go there. But for me, like I said, Title, there's only like really 4 or 5 guys that are really even viable for me today. But yeah, for me on the bottom, as you mentioned here, it's Brooks. in Quantrill. And then if you want to, you could look at Stone. But Stone 7,900. I mean, I'd rather pay down and save an extra 2K and go down there to Quantrill if you ask me. But yeah, I pitching's gross today. I mean, there's just no other way about it.
Yeah, there really isn't. Like Travis, I know he just messaged. He was a minute after, but like Lance Lynn, just looking at Lance Lynn, 4.5 K prop minus 115 on the over. That's literally the same as, I mean, Brooks is minus 110 on the over. Cal Quantrill's minus 105 on the over. You do save some salary, 800 and 1,200 against way easier matchups. Like you look at Alec Marsh has a higher K prop at minus 130 on the over than Lance Lynn. So I guess, I mean, just looking at K props, Marsh would be fine as a contrarian pivot down below. Bradish K prop 5.5, juice on the under, but 5.5 on this slate's pretty solid. I don't know, man. Like, as you can see in our pitcher rankings right here, Kikuchi. So this is all the slates. So like you can see Xavier Curry, that game's at 610. It was supposed to be Carrasco. Joe Ryan isn't on the slate, etc. But Kikuchi, we have 1. Clark Schmidt 2. Charlie Morton 3. Crochet 4 is how we have it. And I feel pretty good. I guess Charlie Morton's the one. I definitely don't want to play Charlie Morton in a win game. But if you're talking just straight up talent, if the ball's not in the air for the Cubs, 5.5 Ks, juice on the over, very low ownership, maybe he would be the one. As gross as it is 8-1, like he can get you a 23, 25. I feel better about like his upside than Stone's, even with bad weather. But I mean, it's a vet who's pitched very well for many a years. If the curve's on, maybe he can get some strikeouts. Any final thoughts, Gyiraszin? My thing is, I will be eating chalk pitching, and we're going to have to find wraparound stacks, low-owned stacks, something like that, because I think chalk for today is chalk for a good reason, because there's not many pivot options. So anything for you. How I rank them, I go Kikuchi 1. White Sox are bad. Like Kikuchi's upside. I'm going to go Crochet 2 because I just don't want to go chalk everywhere. I'll go Clark Schmidt 3, and then I'll go Quantrill and Brooks down below. But there's enough, even with expensive bats, there's still enough cheap bats in that order, cheap mini stacks that you can play Crochet, Kikuchi, Crochet, Bradish, whatever you want up top. It's still definitely viable.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with it. Kikuchi's 1. Schmidt, I got 2, or 1A, we'll call him. And then I'll go, I don't even know if I can go Crochet just because that pitching, that strikeout, there's just no strikeouts in that Toronto lineup. I think I'd just rather go down to Quantrill and Brooks after that. And then, I mean, it'd be really hard for me to press any of these other guys' names. I mean, I can't do Charlie Morton. I couldn't do that. Lance Lynn, like I said, I ain't got enough weed for the rest of the night to smoke if I roster him. Well, I probably do have enough weed, but I don't want to smoke that much. And then Kyle Quantrill, like I said, I think he's the interesting one. Title. So I think Quantrill is actually I'm going to go 3 on him just because it's Oakland. I mean, the pitching's just gross today. I think you're right. I think we're going to have to eat chalk. And we talk about, like how the slates are moving everybody, throughout these shows. And this is one here. It's just pitching is just so narrow of a pool today. So yeah, I think we're just going to have to get us a nice little wraparound, maybe find us a nice 9-hitter, 8-hitter is going to get us over the top today with our stacks. But yeah, pitching's pretty gross today. But Kikuchi, in my opinion, is pretty safe, and so is Schmidt.
Yeah, I like it. So let's go talking bats. The last thing I'll say about Morton is some Cubs are going to get some exposure today. So you kind of get the weird leverage of a pitcher. I say weird because most people will go stacks against a chalkier pitcher for leverage. With Cubs getting some ownership because of the win, you get a little direct leverage on the other side. And I like the Braves today, so I think some good, solid win equity on that side as well. But that was the last thing I'll say about Morton. If you like any other pivot down below at pitching that we didn't mention, play them, and then you can eat a lot more chalk because they're going to be very low owned. The story of the slate for bats, Chicago and Atlanta, I think, are 2 of the more popular teams on the slates. Outside of that, yeah, maybe the Astros get a little bit, but I think it's the win game people are going to chase today. Good weather throughout the country. Let's go first game of the night. 8 games on tap, 7:05 Eastern. Seattle Mariners, New York Yankees. Brian Wu, Clark Schmidt on the mound. Looking at ownership, I mean, no one's going to be picking against Clark Schmidt. if you want some of these Seattle Mariners, I don't think it's crazy as direct leverage on a chalky pitching slate in New York Yankee Stadium, guaranteed ninth inning at bats. I think some one-off Mariners like a Luke Raley or something is fine. The Yankee side is a lot more appealing to me, and that's because very, very big splits. Lefties get to them. You get Soto, you get Verdugo, you get Rizzo, you get Wells, Trent Grisham in the 9-hole. I like the lefties. You can always play Judge, of course, if you are stacking them, etc. Lefties, my preferred plays. Probably more minis than 5-mans, but they did throw enough lefties, especially 2, 4, 5, 6. Can wrap around with Grisham, throw Judge in there. I don't think 5-man Yankees are crazy. Prefer the lefties, though. Probably more minis. What about you?
Yeah, I think this game here is just a game I pull some one-offs in. I respect both pitchers enough to not stack against them. But if you're looking at some bets here, some one-offs, I think Luke Raley is really interesting. That guy's actually like 10 for 20 in his last 7 days. He's been smashing the shit out of the baseball. Dylan Moore's been doing the same. And then as we know on the other side, finally, Aaron Judge got his head out of his ass. He's been smacking the shit out of the baseball as well. Last 7 days, his slugging percentage is 1.300, 200 points higher than the next guy, which is Gunnar Henderson. So Judge absolutely smashing 11 for 20. He's got 9 extra base hits, 7 walks. So Aaron Judge is definitely a guy that's hot as can be. So definitely don't mind him. But Luke Raley, I think would be interesting against Schmidt. If you not going to play him, I think that might be a one-off that you might be able to use here today.
Yeah, I like it. He, not yesterday, 11, 15 the past 2 days, 31, 14, 13. He's been swinging a hot stick. Verdugo's been hot. Eddie says, do like the lefties on the Yankees. Let's keep it going. Next game on the slate, Chicago White Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, we talked about these pitchers at length, Crochet and Kikuchi. It's going to be one of the lowest owned games. And for bats, a 7 total is usually not appealing. Like, I can't even make a case for the Blue Jays because Crochet's not going to get enough ownership. Whereas someone just said, like I mentioned last game, about Seattle being the leverage play. Someone said right here, he likes the White Sox as the leverage play. I won't hate the White Sox against Chalk Kikuchi as a leverage play, but I don't think it's on the winner. Maybe it's under-owned. If you're playing 20 teams and you get 2 year 20, yeah, you have a chance to ship and you're probably overweight. I personally prefer the Mariners if I had to pick, and I think ownership on Kikuchi and Clark Schmidt are close enough. So it's going to be nothing for me in this game, but any White Sox against Chalk Kikuchi you can make a case for. Eloy, Paul DeJong, one of them.
I mean, if I was going to be looking at any White Sox bat, I mean, you got Pham sitting up there at the top, got a 348 WOBA against lefties. Don't mind that. I mean, it's just so hard. You got a guy like DeJong. It's either home run or strikeout for that cat. But, I mean, Jimenez, I just can't even do it. These White Sox suck, man. I mean, Pham, I think, might be a guy I'd look at. But, man, they're just terrible. And as far as the Blue Jays go, there's just literally, like we were saying earlier, there's no strikeouts in that lineup. I mean, you got Schneider up there at 29%. Everybody else is like 15, 13, 12, 16, 17%. Justin Turner is a guy, though, that I've always in the past liked to play against lefties. He's a lefty smasher. So if you want to look at somebody like Justin Turner, couldn't argue with you about that. But really, I mean, there really just isn't anybody that, I'm really interested in here on Toronto. So, I'm going to pass. Bichette finally has been hitting a little bit here recently, getting his head out of his ass. But other than that, I'm going to pass here on some one-offs. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, 7 totals usually aren't very good games you want to target. This game, I think you're going to want to target, though, Gyiraszin. Braves, Cubs, 85 degrees, wind blowing out in Chicago, 11.5 total. Charlie Morton, Javier Assad on the mound. Yeah, I definitely prefer the Braves side. It's not even close. Like, I respect Charlie Morton a lot more than I do Javier Assad. Again, I don't think – the more I thought about it, I do not think it's crazy to play Charlie Morton because you do get direct leverage off the Cubs. I do expect the Braves to put up runs, so you get the win there. But, yeah, I mean, obviously 11.5 total. Vegas and books are expecting the Cubs to put up some runs when it's 85 degrees and 25-mile-an-hour winds blowing out. I'll throw it to you on that note. Take it away. I like the Braves. man, if they're both going to be chalky, which I think they are, I'm not going to say no Cubs. I don't know. I'll let you take this one away.
Man, this one started at 10. Weatherman got it bumped up to 11.5. I mean, you generally don't see over-unders bump up a full run and a half throughout a day. That's very rare. I do like to pay attention to see kind of how the lines are moving. And, that was interesting. I think both sides, the Braves are in just a really good spot. Even though Assad's been really good, it's just, I watch some of these games. That dude's always got guys on base, man. I mean, he leaves more dudes on base. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, he is lucky. So I've been sitting there thinking I'm waiting for the blow up to happen. It just hasn't happened yet, but he's one of them guys I've been looking at, and he's in my luck pile box. But I mean, hey, guy's ERA showing out, man, 1.49, whatever it is. But I think this game is going to be tough. You got arguably the deepest lineup, most powerful lineup in MLB in a game where the wind's blowing out the way it is. Now, Title, you and I have been playing DFS a long damn time. In your opinion, what percentage of these Cubs win games do you actually think play out the way, we feel? It seems like if you bet the under in most of these situations, I haven't even looked it up. It just feels like when everybody's excited about a win game, it just seems to be a dud, and more times than not. So,
I would be, any number I throw out would be completely random. I will say I always value the day win games a little heavier than I do the night win games, but 25 miles an hour is 25 miles an hour. So yeah, any number I throw would be a complete ballpark wing. So I'm not even going to throw out a number.
Now the funny thing I just noticed too, this game, both pitchers last time out pitched against the same team. Last time out, Morton played the Cubs. Last time out, Assad had the Atlanta. So, a lot of people, like to say, I don't like, pitching in the second matchup, blah, blah, blah. Well, if that's the case, then that's even more bump to the bats. But it's just an interesting game here. I think I'm going to side more with the bats. I think the Braves are in an absolute great spot. The Cubs as well. I mean, Charlie Morton, let's just pull this up here. I mean, his K percentage has dropped against righties this year. His ground ball percentage is right about 50% to both sides, which isn't too bad. His swing and whiff percentage is not very good against righties here so far this year. I guess I'd probably start with some righties even here against Morton, just kind of reverse splitsy. But I do like this Cubs lineup. I mean, it's one of the few lineups in MLB that I really feel comfortable with 1 through 9. There's just so many teams we talk about. The bottom of the lineup just looks like a AAA team. So both these teams really good 1 through 9. So I just going to find it hard to play either side. Now, you did mention you think the Cubs will be a little lower owned. I got to agree with that. But you know what? The Braves might not get as much ownership. Looking at the Assad, you might get a little discount on the Braves today. So we'll see, but you might get one, especially with the win. But I don't know. Maybe somebody's just a little hesitant. Maybe it's just me hoping, because I like the Braves today and hope they get a little lower owned. But man, Ozuna has been smashing the shit out of it. I mean, this lineup is just too good. So yeah, give me all the Braves I can get. And I agree with Andrew Martinez. Swanson is a little cheap. I was going to mention that earlier.
Yeah, first game, I don't think the lineup's out yet, but it says he's supposed to be back. His first game, I don't see one yet. First game back after IL, so he's only 2.8K, which is just way too cheap and will be very popular. So when I see stuff like that in tournaments, it makes it a lot easier to get away from Dansby, just knowing people are going there at ownership. Now, what I'll say with both of these on the last note before we get to the next one, I like these guys a lot more as just an all-in 5-man stack, both sides, than I do as a one-off or a mini stack. I do agree with this. It feels like, and again, I don't have any data to back that up. When they pop, they pop. It feels like that is the case. Like it's a 13-10 game or something. Then you absolutely need one side of it. I just chalk teams on both sides and just picking one or two batters. Like it feels weird. Like, yeah, they get the solo shot, but then it's a 3-1 game. I mean, at that point, you just need so much to happen. 11.5 total. You get the right guys. I would just fade it all and maybe play Morton or Assad, I guess, if you want to do that. I'm not doing it. Or just jam 5-man one side or fully game stack it and try and go lower owned pitchers or something like that. So, yeah.
If you fully game stack that title, you're going to have to really go cheap. You're going to have to go Quantrill, for sure. And you might even have to go Brooks.
And you don't want to do that because almost all game stacks of this, if that's what you need, will land on those two at cheap pitcher because they're the clear cheap pitching. So I don't like that either.
Yeah, I agree. And I was just, if you're going to stack that up, you're going to look similar to everybody else. And as you mentioned, you literally are going to have to be perfect. So, like I was talking to a friend and somebody mentioned to me, I saw a guy on Twitter bragging that he won a baseball and he only got like 10 points from his pitcher. And I explained to him that's because he had 2 stacks that were really low owned. That was the only way he won. If he had a chalky stack, there's no way in hell because somebody else would have had the pitching covered over 20%, which you wouldn't have been able to make up from. So yeah, it's just that's the advantage of, going lower owned stacks. A lot of times, you don't have to be as perfect, so just something to keep in mind. But I think Atlanta today is going to be pretty chalky all the way up and down.
Yeah, both sides will. But yeah, that's a really good point. The lower owned your team is and your stacks are, you don't need to be as perfect. If this game busts at 25% or whatever today, and you don't have any of it, and you're like, you don't have the stone nuts, or like your pitcher gets 12 or something like that, but a low owned 5-man stack puts up 12 runs and you have some of the right pieces, you don't need the nut pitching combo or the nut secondary stack or whatever. You already have a big leg up on the field because Atlanta and Chicago completely busted. Or you don't play Kikuchi and he busts. Like, that's the way. When you look at teams and it's lower scoring or something like that, and you see how did that win, it's probably because chalk busted and they didn't play the chalk. So you said it perfect. You don't have to be as perfect when you do get different if the chalk busts. If you don't play this game and the total's 28, yeah, you're not going to win. Move on to tomorrow. There's no chance. So
now, Title, one question I know people do ask. How do you feel about one-offs? I know the answer to this, but we can talk it through for a second. But it's like, people always ask me, how do you feel about one-offs from a chalky game? Now,
I don't like it.
I generally don't recommend that. But if you do, I always would swap out a higher owned player. Like, like if like let's say it was chalky and, you wanted to look at us, you got a chalky stack and like Aaron Judge, maybe you swap out Aaron Judge for Mookie Betts. Or, you do something like that. If you wanted to take a chalkier stack and put a different guy, like you can do that. But I generally don't like to even pick one-offs unless, Title, it's like a super cheap guy, like maybe Swanson today, 2,800, and it opens up something for you. I don't mind doing that. But generally, I try to stay away from one-offs too. So like whenever you see my slate plan, I'm not ranking my top hitters. I'm ranking who I think are good one-offs. So a leverage guy, whatever else. You all know, like today, some of these Braves are, and Cubs are in good spots. I don't need to list those. Those are chalky. I list guys I think that are good pivots or good leverage, whatever else, or a cheap guy. Like I maybe put Swanson in there just because he's 2,800 or, something like that. But I generally try to pick, when I pick my one-offs, guys that I think could have an effect on because of leverage or whatever else may be.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Gyiraszin is on the slate plan today. Check out his favorite pitchers, stacks, one-offs right there, core report as well, projections, ownership, cash report, showed off the Shiptimizer if you're any 6-month or if you're a monthly 6-month annual member, MLB only, have the Shiptimizer for free. Check it out, mess with it. Everything is updated throughout the night when lineups come out. Let's keep rolling, Gyiraszin. Next game on the slates. The second highest total, Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Royals, Casey Mize, Alec Marsh on the mound. 9 total. Wind is blowing out. What is it? 75 degrees, about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Wind is blowing out. Detroit got the job done. What was that, yesterday? Absolutely, completely nuked. Unless it was 2 days ago. I think it was yesterday. Alec Marsh isn't very good. Casey Mize, he's a little better than Alec Marsh, but I do look at this Kansas City Royals lineup better than I do the Tigers. So, yeah, take this one away. Is your boy Spencer Torkelson going to go deep for you?
Man, Torkelson sucks. But either way, I mean, this game, you look at it, Mize, 50% ground ball rate, both sides of the plate. Now, you do have a lot of fly ball hitters here on the Royals. I think it's interesting. It's just, to me, Mize is the guy. He's got low K percentage, 15% so far this season to lefties. He's 18% to righties. You really don't have that many Ks. Maybe Velasquez and Melendez are two guys that he might be able to get today, but all the rest of the guys are less than 20%. I think the Royals could be in play, maybe a little sneaky play. I mean, the Tigers bullpen, though, has absolutely been crushing. They're really good. I mean, the Indians are the best bullpen. Tigers aren't too far right there behind them. So definitely think that is a risk, man. In Mize, they haven't been letting them get too many pitches. I want to say it was limited at like around 80 last time I remember. So, that bullpen for the Tigers, though, it's been really good. So I think that's kind of what scares me off him a little bit. Mize being such a ground ball pitcher. But the weather, hitting conditions are great. I can't fault you for the Royals. I think the Royals are in an interesting spot. Just kind of talking it through, why, maybe why I wouldn't like the Royals. The Royals, Massey's in a good spot here, lefty. You got Vinny, ever since he apparently buttoned up his shirt. Manager told him he looks like a bum when he hits and his chain shit hanging out. He buttoned up his shirt, they said on the Royals broadcast the other day, and the dude's been hitting the shit out of the ball ever since. I don't know. That's what they said. Baseball players are finicky dudes. But either way, I definitely think the Royals here are interesting. The Tigers, I don't even know how the hell anybody could play the Tigers. You talk about, what? Where's my man that always laughs at me when I say you can't hit out of a paper bag and then they end up getting a bunch of runs? Well, the Tigers can't hit their ass out of a paper bag to save their life at this point. Been shut out a bunch of times. I mean, these guys are terrible. If Alec Marsh didn't suck, I'd probably look at playing him today. These Tigers have just been absolutely horrible lately. But, Carpenter hit a home run yesterday.
3 nights ago. They put up 4 nights ago, 13 and 8. Maybe they just got to play the D-backs every game. That's what I was thinking of. Crooked number against the D-backs and another 8 spot.
Yeah, that's all they can do. They can't hit anybody else, man. They're just – well, that's because Javi Baez, somebody put a mask on him and put somebody else in there to hit for him because fucking Javi got 8 hits in one weekend. I still can't get over that shit. Dude had 5 hits all of May, and then he gets 8 hits in one weekend. I don't get it. But, this game here, though, Royals for me, Tigers, I just can't do it, especially they're my home team. I'll end up cussing them out all night. And title, I've been staying out my RV for the last couple of weeks out at the camp resort, and I got the Bally Sports on, and my neighbor over there came over the other day and was like, "What did you cussing at?" I'm like, "The Tigers, they suck, man." So
at least you got the Lions.
Yeah, that's true. That's coming from a Wisconsin boy. That had to hurt saying that.
Hey, it's the facts. Hey, especially as a DFS player, Gyiraszin, who cares about our team? We cheer about our money. You guys got a squad.
That's the truth. When I first started playing, my wife asked me, she's like, "How come you're rooting for this team this week and last week you were rooting against them?" I was like, "Well,
get used to that one for sure." Hey, Boss Bro, you might be onto something. Every time if one of us are chirping something real heavy or whatever it may be, that team usually does put up a crooked number.
That's baseball.
Riley
baseball
Green
for you.
Yep, give me Riley Green, Perez, Kerry Carpenter, and your boy Torkelson. Mini stack probably. Marsh is just bad. Casey, I think's fine. I like Casey's lineup. I like playing certain guys, but you mentioned the ground ball rate for Mize is not something I usually like to pick on much. I'm gonna say I prefer the Tigers side slightly.
Yeah, I think maybe I'd pick some Tigers for some one-offs. They're cheap. I can't do it, man. They're too frustrating for me. But hey, the game is a 9. It's the second highest total. You want to look for an advantage. There you go, right there. You want to stack up this game. Nobody's going to stack this game up. If you really wanted to, it's the second highest total. I can't argue with you. And you probably get Kikuchi and Schmidt in your lineup too. I don't mind that. If you want to do that. And BN Cold Air 3, yeah, Torque is bad. He's about to get his ass kicked out of the back tournament about the back row out here. He's going to go over there.
2 years late.
Yeah, that's the truth too. I thought after the 30 bombs, I brought him over here. I'm going to have to, you got to earn it to be in this one over here. But I do got my Mookie rookie coming here that I got. I told you I bought my PSA 10. I'm going to put that right here, star in the middle. But so I can't play them Tigers here today.
Hey, makes sense. Let's get to a game I think we can play. At least I have interest in one side for sure. Baltimore Orioles, St. Louis Cardinals, Kyle Bradish, Lance Lynn on the mound. 9 total, 90 degrees, wind blowing out in St. Louis. Again, this is the most weather concern, yellow, orange rough hazard right now. he expects it to play. It sounds like most of it will be toward the end of the game. So even if they got to like 8 of the 9 or something, I'd be fine with that. I mean, I'm picking on Lance Lynn today. I mentioned earlier, didn't really like him too much. A lot of the hitting weather. I like playing Baltimore. Man, they are pretty expensive, but we have enough cheap pitchers on the slate to make it work. But they're one of the best offenses in the league, lead the league in homers. You can play them 1 through 9. Like, lefties get to Lance Lynn more than righties do. So I prefer the lefties, Gunners, O'Hearns, Hauser, Mullins of the world. But yeah, I mean, of course, Adley right there too. But I'm fine playing a Mountcastle. If like Ryan O'Hearn, let me look at ownership quick. Yeah, like Ryan O'Hearn's probably going to be double the ownership, triple the ownership as of Ryan Mountcastle. If you think that Baltimore's getting a little steam, or you need to get, you're eating Kikuchi chalk, Clark Schmidt chalk, and you want to get a little different Orioles stack, I'd be fine going to Mountcastle there. But yeah, the main guy is Gunner, Adley, Ryan O'Hearn, Hauser. Give me the lefties. I like this lineup 1 through 9 though. What, only 3 righties they got in there? Yeah, 6 lefties, 3 righties. I think they take Lance Lynn deep multiple times, winds blowing out, good hitting weather. Cardinals, I don't know. I'll let you touch on the Cardinals. I respect Bradish, but Cardinals are going to be like 2% owned with great hitting weather, 9 total like that other one. I think mini stack Cardinals are interesting too.
I can't stack the Cardinals. They suck. They can't do anything. Bradish is a pretty good pitcher. His first 3 starts, he looked pretty good. I don't mind him. 38% K rate so far this year to lefty. So that's going to basically take out Donovan, Nootbaar, Burleson, Gorman, Ciani if he's in the bottom down there. So, you know, Goldschmidt he can't hit a beach ball lately. Hernando hasn't been doing shit. I prefer him against a lefty. I think Bradish is in a pretty good spot. Now, you look at the bats on the other side, I think the Orioles are really interesting. I think they could be a sneaky stack because people are going to look at the weather. They're just going to say, I ain't going to fuck with it. I don't even want to fool with it. So I'm not even going to bother. But, man, Gunnar Henderson, it's got to be projected one of the best bats on the slate today. I mean, this guy has just been smashing. He's looking good. One of the best ball players in baseball. But Lance Lynn, you look at some of his numbers, it's just weird. Like his swing and strike percentage to lefties is like 6% title. He's not missing any bats, man. Lance Lynn, his old fat ass just needs to give it up. But I'll tell you what, man, I think you could stack up these Orioles up and down. And I think if you were heavy on them today, if you were MMEing quite a few teams, I don't think the Orioles are going to be that. I mean, this spot here is really nice. And I just don't think that they're going to get the ownership they should. If there was no weather in here, I think the Orioles would be being talked about as potentially one of the more chalkier offenses, next to that Wrigley game here today.
Yeah, and because like the Braves are expensive, a lot of the O's you want to play are expensive. So I mean, I'm not going to say they're 3% owned. I think people realize like that's one of the good pivots off of like that Wrigley win game. But there's still the Yankees, there's still the Dodgers, there's still the Astros. There's still other expensive bat pivots, and it comes back to what we talked about earlier. I think it's a slate that I like being more concentrated at pitching and spreading out bats more than vice versa, which isn't always the case. And I had to throw this up, Gyiraszin. I don't know if you already peeped the tools over here, if it just came out of your head, but when I went to the hitter rankings, after you said Gunner's got to be one of the best bats on the slate, well, we do have Gunnar Henderson #1 in our hitter rankings right here. I didn't
even look. I just know. When you play this shit long enough, Title, you know.
Yeah, you do. You do. What is your website? So it's SHIPITNation.com, as you can see right here. No promo codes, though, and that is because, we said it last week, that 15% off was going away during our 1-year anniversary, but you will not find cheaper in the industry for all the content. Weekly, $24 a week, all the content, no Discord. Otherwise, Discord, huge piece of our process. So many members talking all the sports at all times of the day. $69 a month. 6 month comes out to $64 a month. Annual comes out to $58 a month. And that is projections, ownership, the Stone, core reports, slate plans, rankings. Oh, that's MMA. I don't know why I just went on that. As you can see, where the heck's MLB? Stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, slate plan by Gyiraszin. We have NBA tonight, Showdown. I'm not going to click this. Showdown slate plan, absolutely money. And again, our Shiptimizer, if you sign up right now, you can mess around with the Shiptimizer for free. Rewind to the start of the video. Check that out. It will be paid. There is no such thing as a free optimizer in the industry, but it is free right now until it is charged, and it'll still be the cheapest in the industry. So mess with it, get used to it. So when it is paid, you can save the most if that's what you want to do. If you like your optimizer if you like your optimizer right now, keep the optimizer right now. That's what the beauty of the consumer. You can spend your money wherever you want.
I was going to say OnlyFans was our website.
That's why Gyiraszin is the baseball analyst and I am the host. We're going to keep it going. Next game on the slate. Los Angeles Angels, Houston Astros, Griffin Canning, Christian Javier, 9 total. Gyiraszin, I'll throw it right to you. Astros going to get some ownership for sure. Angels will not.
Yeah, Canning. I mean, he's got a 12% K rate against lefties. This is the wrong damn team to have a low K rate against lefties with our man Tucker and Yordan Alvarez staring at you. So definitely an interesting one here today. Canning, I mean, just looking at his ground ball rate is just really low. He's got 33% ground ball rate, both sides. Fly ball percentage a little higher to righties, which isn't very good. Pena's been hitting the ball pretty well. Bregman's actually got going a little bit here too. So yeah, I think the Astros are definitely interesting. There's just some better spots here today for me than that put the Astros a little bit further behind, but I couldn't be mad at you if you like some Astros. Now, as far as the Angels, Javier, he has struggled a little bit, as we mentioned. Ground ball rate really low to lefties. He's got a high ground ball rate to righties. So, I mean, we're talking 55.6% to righties, and we're only talking 25% to lefties. He's got a really high fly ball rate to lefties and a really low one to righties. So this guy's numbers are up and down all the way across the board. So I think Javier is interesting, as we talked a little bit about pitching. So I'm not going to have any Angels. I don't even think there's really anything there that I might even want to throw in as a one-off. I don't know how much leverage you're going to get because I'm not sure Javier is going to get too much of the ownership compared. He might get a little bit, he might get some pivot action, but it's nothing like Kikuchi and Clark are going to get today. But I'm just not interested in any of these Angels. I can't do it.
Yeah. I think the Angels are fine as like mini stacks. Probably the heart of the order, a Taylor Ward,
Neto's been hitting pretty well. Ward's been hitting well.
Yeah. I mean, they jumped on him yesterday. They went like back to back. Or I swear I looked at my phone and they had 3 home run notifications in like a couple minutes. So the heart of the order, Rengifos, the Wards, Logans. As far as the bats or the Astros side, I mean, I like the Astros more than the Dodgers. I like Baltimore more than the Dodgers if I had to pick. I look at Baltimore and Houston pretty closely. But, I mean, it's the clear. Yordan, Kyle Tucker, smash plays. Singleton, I think, is fine. And then you can play Altuve, Bregg. 1 through 9's in play in a 5-man stack. If I'm mini stacking, it's probably the lefties. But, again, you have to think. If you do 5-man these Astros and you play like you need Brooks and you played like a Clark Schmidt, you might not be different enough. Like then you might have to mix in a lower owned Astros bat into the bottom of the order. Different secondary stack, etc. So while Braves and Cubs are getting the most ownership in the win game, let's not pretend that like Astros aren't going to get any. Your Baltimore is not going to get any. Your Dodgers aren't going to get any. People are going to make those as their pivots. But again, that's why we hardly talked about other pitchers that we liked. Tighter pitching pool, more spread out in bats is how I like it. And we'll approach this slate today. Polar been crushing too. There we go, boss bro. I like it. 2 games left, Gyiraszin. 2 games left. Appreciate all 160 of you guys watching live. If you're watching on playback, we appreciate you guys just as much. Take 2 seconds out of your day, a little timeout, basketball timeout. Like button helps us out a ton. Subscribe button helps us out a ton. Bringing you shows on this channel almost every single day. 2 games, Gyiraszin. Easy X, Rockies, Oakland A's, Cal Quantrill, Aaron Brooks. Now, with that being said, Easy X at a 7.5 total. Both Quantrill and Aaron Brooks are going to get some ownership. Not very often do you see a couple bums like these 2. Bums might be a little aggressive, but 2 not great pitchers getting ownership like this because of the nature of the slate. I don't know if I can make a case for 5-man on either side, but definitely can make a case on mini stacks just for the simple fact of the pitching ownership that both of these guys are looking at. So at that point, take it away. Do you have some favorite one-offs? Are you 5-man stacking it? What do you see?
Yeah, both these teams suck offensively. The A's actually kind of came back to earth recently in the last week or so. They're hitting like below 200 as a team. They just haven't been doing all that well. I mean, this game here is just, I mean, if you want this game here, if you want some cheap one-offs, this is obviously the one to look for. I mean, I think Rooker maybe is interesting if you wanted to look at somebody on the A's, but man, I just think Kyle Quantrill is just in a pretty decent spot. I think I like him more as we've gone on the show here, as we've moved on as SP2 on DK. But yeah, I can't do it here. These A's bats are terrible. As far as these Rockies go, you know, we talked about a little bit about Brooks. It's both these pitchers. I mean, you're looking at two guys here that'll probably be, I don't know, I don't want to call them the most popular SP2s, but I think they're both going to garner ownership. Now, I'm looking at this saying, well, can I get some leverage here, Title? I don't even think I could get leverage off either of these two teams because I just don't think either one of them are going to hit enough homers or, you know, are going to get me there. I can't see either one of these two teams fully stacking going to be on the winner today. So I'm going to have to pass.
Yeah, I don't hate that by any means. Like some of these A's, like you said, a Rooker, Toro if he's leading off, Langoliers filling out a catcher position, Geloff, I'd be fine with it. I mean, this Rockies team is even worse to click on. Blackman, Ryan McMahon, probably the two there. But yeah, at the end of the day, one-offs, mini stacks, cheap because they're cheap. They make everything else work, and you get some leverage. But yeah, I can't recommend Rockies or A's. I do prefer the A's for sure, though. If I did, I just think the lineup's more appealing to click on, I guess, which is saying a lot. Yeah, last game on the slate, Gyiraszin.
My favorite word sucks. If they suck, they suck.
They suck. Yeah, that happens. Last game of the night, Gyiraszin, Arizona Diamondbacks, Los Angeles Dodgers.
Maybe the wife will hear that, get an idea.
Brendan Pfaadt, Gavin Stone on the mound, 8.5 total, 60 degrees. All right, so Dodgers, you can always play him. I don't think Brendan Pfaadt's a bad pitcher, personally. Dodgers always have a great their lineup's insane. No guaranteed ninth inning at bats. It's on the West Coast. It's pretty chilly in LA, especially compared 60 degrees compared to 88 in St. Louis or win game in Wrigley, etc. You can always play them. The Dodgers will be relatively low owned. I like Astros more. I like Yankees more if I had to pick. I like Baltimore more if I had to pick, which are all pivots off the chalky game, which has the pivot off the chalk win game, which still has expensive bats to pay for. You can always play the Dodgers. Would I be shocked if they're on the winner when it's all said and done? No. You can eat Quantrill chalk, Brooks chalk, some other chalk when you play them. You can always play them. If you want to make stands, though, that would be a team I'd leave off because I like Baltimore, like Houston, like some of the other spots more. It's the Dodgers. Are you playing them tonight?
I think I only like the two lefties, at the top of the lineup. If, Freddie Freeman and Ohtani, I think those are the ones you're going to look at. Pat's got a 15.9% K rate against lefties, up at 31% against righties, but you got to be careful. His ground ball rate's 52% against lefties, so you definitely need some dudes that hit the ball in the air, and I think Ohtani and Freeman definitely will qualify for that. So I like the lefties. Now you got to be careful here at the bottom of the lineup. We all know these stinking Dodgers like to pinch hit. Anybody below basically 6 is in risk, I feel, in this lineup. So yesterday, Kiki came out. Kiki, do you love me? Hit a home run right off the bat. So, that was kind of good. But, man, I think today is just the kind of one-off day for these Dodgers. To stack up these Dodgers in a full stack, you're definitely have to go low end at pitching. But I think today, a guy like Ohtani and Freeman is definitely somebody that I'd be interested in. Now, the other side,
you are playing the other side.
Yeah, I don't think I can play the other side against Stone. Peterson, if you wanted to look that route for a lefty bat against them, maybe you could go somewhere along those lines. But, nobody really here in Arizona is really hitting it well enough for me to one off these guys with Stone. But, man, like I said, I think you're going to see some ownership on the Dodgers here. You're going to see some cheap pitching mixed in with some Dodgers. I think I would just rather maybe one off Freeman, somebody like that, and go elsewhere.
Yeah, you and I see it the same. It would take me more than 20 teams to probably get a 5-man Dodger stack, but that's just because I'd be playing, like I said, Baltimore, Houston, some Yankees, the win game, all more than that. Tighter pitching pool, more options at hitting is how I see it today. Let's hope it works out that way. Again, our pitcher rankings up, showed them off a little bit. Stack rankings didn't show them off. Go check that out, though. Hitter rankings that you saw 1 through 4. Little Shiptimizer, if you got in a little late, go back to the beginning. If you're a member at ShipItNation.com, you can access the Shiptimizer for free right now. Did a little tutorial, walk through it. Definitely go check that out. Rewind. If you're a PGA, we have it for PGA as well. Game 1 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals tonight. 100K up top. Rio will have a showdown. Core report for that. A little slate plan. Definitely make sure to check that out. Hey, it feels like a good day to make some money, Gyiraszin. What do you say? Final words.
Absolutely. Good day to make some money, have a safety meeting, drink some high noons and Modelo's. And, I'll meet you at the top of these tournaments. That's all. Sounds like a good time. And we'll be back tomorrow. Talk some more shit.
We'll be back tomorrow to talk some more shit, a.k.a. talk some more baseball, I guess. Good stuff as always, Gyiraszin. Let's see some Ship It Nation logos at the top. Like button, subscribe button on the way out. Helps us out a ton. And if you want to join us at the Nation and get in the Discord, ShipItNation.com gets you there. Good luck tonight, everybody. Awesome stuff as always, Gyiraszin. For myself, Title Town, Gyiraszin. Peace. Be safe.